What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tardy to the Party, aka T3P, where us two hooligans talk shop about that holy trinity of pop culture, Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. I'm your boy Jsib, and joined by, as always,
I'm KP here.
It's gonna be a slow year for new content this year, but we actually have something new this week. Echo, Disney Plus dropped all five.
Yeah, part
episodes?
of this new dropped all 5 episodes in this. So Echo is our first look at what these. Well, actually, it might not be the first look. I'll wholeheartedly admit I haven't watched others. This Marvel Spotlight.
I think it is the first spotlight because the ones before were
it
considered
is. Okay.
Marvel. They were considered Marvel presentations.
Okay. So
What's the difference? No idea.
Well, my guess right now is the difference is the spotlight is just going to drop all of it at once, whereas the presentations, the shows, whatever, are just going to come out week by week. Would that be the difference here? I
don't know if that's necessarily
know.
a spotlight thing or if that's indicative of just what they thought of project. Like, this is something that makes me a little sad. And granted, I might be a little higher on this than you are because I do think there are some good things out of this, but I should have known better that when they announced they were dropping all 5 episodes, because I did say something about it. Like, that's not a good sign.
Yeah,
that they're doing
right
this.
because they hadn't done it with anything else. So
no, and
you're right that you probably should have got that idea that maybe this wasn't going to be that great.
And I felt that way, but then they dropped that trailer, and I was like, "Oh shit! Okay, well,
right.
At least I feel like I'm gonna like this."
Right. The trailer built the hype up, made it look like it was going to be a really good show,
and definitely felt like the series did not deliver on that trailer by any means. Especially when it first starts up and it shows the TVMA thing, there's like 1, maybe 2 scenes that somewhat kind of warrant that, but not even. Like, this is PG-13 at best. Like,
now that you say it, there's really
it's a little bit more brutal than typical Marvel stuff, but it's nothing. But it's not Netflix Daredevil or.
I was gonna say,
it's
like definitely not the Netflix. Yeah, it's definitely not the Netflix series brutal. Like it could, and I think they were probably. That's what they were trying to sell us.
Well, that's what the trailers kind of made it seem like. Is this was going to be a dark, brooding, gritty, kind of a la like the Netflix series where
the trailer
does
has
not deliver on that at all.
No. Yeah, the trailer has the scene of Kingpin beating the shit out of the dude in the alley, and there's blood everywhere. So but you are correct that. Well, that's not exactly this show.
Yeah.
Outside of like one whole other scene.
I think overall, before getting into like spoilers, I don't know how much we'll necessarily talk spoilers, but positives, I did love all of the ASL stuff. I thought that was really well done. All the little bits that we got to see of like the people of like the Choctaw Nation, I thought that was really cool. I think they maybe should have leaned into that a little bit more.
Right.
Not a fan of what they did with her powers, I'll say, because they did change them from the comics. And hilariously, there's a quote from their writers that saying they thought her comic book powers were lame, and this is what they came up with instead. And I was like, oh, so you just ripped off.
So I got to
Legend of Korra, I guess, but not as cool still.
I got to agree with the first part. I mean, it is lame. She literally in the comics she's the same thing as Taskmaster.
Yeah.
So I understand why you wanted to change that. However, I got to agree that the powers you gave her are interesting, but the show did not do a great job of really
It's like the show
like,
set it
really
up, but at the same
explain-
time, the
Like,
show like
it
sets it
just-
up, but it doesn't necessarily do a good job delivering on that setup and having
Yeah,
it pay off
like
in
delivering
a
an
satisfying way.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there. I wanted to say like there's no real explanation of her powers, but then again, like that's the whole point of the Choctaw flashbacks is that you understand what you're supposed to take those moments to understand like what the powers are.
Yeah, it's
So I wanted to say that the show doesn't do a good job of explaining the powers, but I mean it does. I just think so I guess really I should agree with you that also on it that the delivery is just kind of I will say spoilers that it's rushed and it's also just but
a
I mean
lot
there's
of
five
stuff
episodes.
feels rushed in this,
Yeah, I was gonna say there's 5 episodes, so of course it feels rushed, but
and quite a
yeah.
bit of tell and not show in this series as well. Um, this one's a weird one for me because I feel like it kind of started off a little meh for me. Granted, I don't want to take that back. I think the episode's actually like good and kind of a smart decision because there's so much content out there. And I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I didn't fucking watch Hawkeye. So while I thought, but I knew what happened in Hawkeye. So while I was sitting there, I was like, okay, can we just get to the new stuff? But at the same time, I respect it because not everybody is going to be fully entrenched and seen everything of Marvel at this point, especially with all the
Right.
just abundant amount of
To-
content we've gotten. So it's a smart move for them at the same time to like, well, in case you didn't watch this, here's what's been going on with Echo. Here's the backstory, and then we'll after the first episode, now we're going to hit the ground running doing it. So at the end of the day, I think it was a smart move, and I think they actually did a pretty good job with it overall with the first episode.
But it took 30 minutes of the first episode.
I agree, but I don't know. It's a catch-22 though, because if you have somebody who once again hasn't caught up to everything, like that's the only episode that's going to get them to understand who Echo is and what they're all about.
I
didn't watch Hawkeye, so I didn't know who Echo is, at least in the MCU. I know who she is in the comics. Also, don't have a vast knowledge of the character, but I still know who she is in the comics and what her power sets are, and some of her affiliation stories with like Kingpin and all of that, obviously, because he's heavily entrenched with him. But
yeah,
I felt like there's a lot of interesting with this series. I felt like I liked the middle part of this season or series, whatever you want to call it at this point. I don't think they're probably going to get a season 2, so I guess I should just say series.
I would say no.
But I liked the actress in the role. I like how they played Echo. I feel like they kind of came slow out of the gate, and they definitely didn't finish strong. And that's what kind of ultimately makes me really sad in the end, is especially with the way they sold this show on you. You'd think there would be some nice badass fight between her and Kingpin in the end, and slight spoilers, there's really not, like, at all.
Well,
it's very lackluster.
It's
just it was such a downer, especially with the way this show was sold, and like I said, they don't deliver on it. That's unfortunate.
Well, good God, in the ending sequences, you get the idea that one of her powers is basically like she has super strength. And then, then there's no payoff, like no fight with the Kingpin with that. Spoilers, sorry. But
yeah, there's basically no fight between her and Kingpin.
Yeah.
And that's what sucks, and we'll get to it in spoilers, is I liked that scene but there either should have been a fight, there should have been a fight before that between them, or a fight after that scene with them, and there was just nothing. The scene that they give us, I liked the idea of it.
Right.
I think it was done fairly well. It's just the problem is there was no fight before or after that. I feel like that's why it doesn't stick or deliver, without getting super spoilery, which I guess I don't know what.
Right.
I mean, I'll be honest. I think I'm at like we can do early scores. I think we should start doing early. So I like that idea. So I think I want to go 5-5. I almost want to give it a 5, but
Oh.
I think I'm going to go
Oh.
no,
Okay.
5. And it's just I'm going to give it a 5 just because I think they did a really good job with the ASL stuff. And granted, I wanted more of it, but what I did see from the Choctaw Nation, I thought it was really cool and interesting. And they would have leaned into it more. But yeah, and there is a scene specifically about with Echo and how they kind of put us in her world in certain scenes. I think this is going to sound a little weird, but it kind of felt like too much to me. Like they did it too many times where it felt like it took me out of the show at certain
I know.
times. But
I
in a
I
way, I'm
know.
like,
I know
you
what you're
either
talking about.
needed to
Yeah.
do it a little less or you needed to lean into it more. It's like you kind
I
of went in a
think I know
middle
what you're
ground
talking
there,
about.
and it just
Yeah.
didn't jive. But
And I think that's the big critic
5, yeah,
complaint about it.
I'll give it a
If it's
5.
the same thing.
They give us 5 episodes, I'll give them 5 points. What do you give it, KP?
What? Say. Oh, what do I give it? Hilarious. Total agreement with you. I also give this a 5. Very middle. Like this is very middle of the road for me. Um, as Jay said, the ASL stuff is very well done. It's very awesome how she does it with her family members. Because naturally, yes, all your family members would know it. The Choctaw flashbacks, if you will, are very, very interesting, and it does paint like a great picture of her character background, where she comes from, and who she was before. Well, not before, but like who her people are that she finds out about when she finally leaves New York. But the weak parts of this show are rushed elements and certain scenes that feel like they're there to build later hype and to also help establish and connect her with essentially existing characters in the MCU.
Yep.
Is what I'm going to say as
I know
far as
you're
not
saying that.
spoiling it. And I think that is kind of where the show is weak. Um, just because it just gave little teases when I thought we might have a little bit more of an intricate story with a lot of it. And then again, yes, it doesn't really finish strong, so that was very upsetting. I don't know. I just felt like at the end of this, I was just like, what the hell did I just watch? So that's why I have to give it a 5. Because it's interesting, but the start and the finish are just not good.
Yeah.
My humble
So
opinion.
I mean, yeah, it's about time for us to get in spoilers. So if you haven't seen it
Yeah.
yet, like I said, they're all 5 out. They came out day 1. So like we saw so far, give us a like and a sub. Come back to us when you have seen it. So KP, go ahead and just go ahead and tell us the main scene you're alluding to that they tease us a little bit and then it means basically kind of nothing and feels like a kind of cameo.
I mean, holy shit, it was
Cheaply
awesome.
hype this character up in a way. I feel like.
Yeah, but I mean, but again, holy shit, it was awesome. It was it's the Daredevil that I've been waiting for. It's the Daredevil I want to see. It was
Way better
awesome.
than the She-Hulk one that we got.
Oh god, yes. I mean, the fact that he had the actually like out of the comic like extending batons and he was like using them as whips kind of like how it does in the comics. I mean, chef's kiss to that showing of Daredevil. Awesome. Just awesome. And to, how it was great because before that it kind of shows how they're building her up to be this badass, you know, boxer, kickboxer, like fighter, she knows some martial arts, and then she goes on her first job
And she freaked.
with for Kingpin. She freezes, but then she kind of gets snapped out of it. But then he shows up and just wipes the floor with her. Like, she can't hold her own against him, really. I mean, she does at a time or two,
That's not
but
how I read the fight scene.
I mean,
In the beginning, for sure, it feels like Daredevil's kind of like toying with her, but then it kind of feels like
right.
she turns it up, and he's kind of like, "Oh shit," which is why he throws the rack on her, and runs away. Like, oh, sick. That's what I
Yeah,
did.
I
That's
mean,
what I
that
didn't like
is.
about the scene overall. And just like I said, there's no payoff to that ever either. They're just like, "Oh, here's
Yeah.
Daredevil. Here's Daredevil. Hey
And
guys,
then
here,
the and then
there he
the and
is."
then the goofy right. And then the goofy shit part about it is how she was scared shitless, then she fights the man without fear who, again, like you said, seems to toy with her. Then he kind of realizes how she can actually fight, and yeah, he kind of runs away, if you will, for whatever reason. And the goofiest part about it is how then the next scene is her sitting at the table with Kingpin, and he's like, "You're the first of my men that's been able to survive in a fight with him." He's like, "Congratulations, you passed." So,
Yeah,
like, from the go, he set her up to go get her ass beat and potentially die by one of his biggest nemesis. And she's just like, "Oh, cool. Thank you, Uncle.
that is
Thank
one of
you
the
for the
scenes. Actually,
test."
within that scene though, that is one of my favorite scenes within the show. She she's freezing before Daredevil shows up, and then the first henchman goes to attack her, and it's where we first like they drown out all the sound, and you hear like the two heartbeats, and
Yeah.
it like speeds up, speeds up, speeds up, and like she breaks his neck, and then all of a sudden you just hear one heartbeat again. I was
Yeah.
like, and that's when she officially is just like, yeah, I'm about this lifestyle, and then she goes in there and just starts trying to kick some ass before Daredevil shows up in his cool ass pose. Thank you, Marvel. That was great. Actually great, not sarcasm. Thank you for that.
Right.
Um, but that scene I thought was really, and that was what I was alluding to in non spoilers. I wish they would have kind of either they needed to kind of back it up a little bit with the frequency that they would just randomly sprinkle it in the show, or they needed to commit to it a little bit harder and make it more of like kind of the focus, like the focus of the show being
I
more in her
believe,
shoes.
like,
But that would obviously be
right.
hard to do a show like that. Like
Mhm.
it'd be a fine line, but just the amount that they did pepper it in, and this could just be a me thing. Just it felt like they somewhat came in at sporadic times. Like I think this one and then the train scene, I think were good examples, just off the top of my head. But
Right.
um, I don't know. I liked the concept. I think the first scene that they did it with in this fight was loved it. I thought that was a really good artist touch on that. But yeah, anyway, she goes back to Kingpin. um, Kingpin.
Whole
We love
that
Vincent
whole
D'Onofrio, right? Like just overall, we love him as Kingpin in this series. Yes, no. Some people are complaining that he's just reduced to a whiny baby, and I'm like, yeah, but you know, he had a soft spot for Vanessa, and I feel like this is his like soft spot for his
pseudo daughter.
pseudo daughter, like in a way, like it's why
Right.
he's kind of being so soft with her and lenient with her. Is he really does want her to be with him as far as like under his umbrella and his criminal empire. Like he really truly does want that. Well, until maybe I don't know. I really liked Fisk in this series. I think it makes sense with the character of Echo, especially. It might be a little repetitive after the Netflix in a sense, not quite as the same, but you get the hint of that with him beating up that ice cream seller in the alleyway when he talking shit to Echo and like use your words, beats the piss out of him. I liked that scene too. Actually, I thought that was kind of nice how he immediately calls for suit jacket because he's got blood over it there, and instead of being scared, runs.
I'd have to really go back and watch Daredevil Netflix. I will say that as I watched it and he's back and playing the character again, my thing on it is that the interpretation is just interesting. I just he's just like socially awkward and weird, which I'm used to like the Kingpin from the 90s Spider-Man cartoon that's like a lot more confident of himself and arrogant of himself.
Yeah.
Which not to say that this Kingpin is not those things as well. I think he is. But like this Kingpin, they also just gave him like some social awkwardness, I think. And it's just like I was sitting there on one episode and I just kind of chuckled to myself. I was like, God, they make him so fucking weird. And like, and again, I don't mean to sound like I'm hating on it. I think it's not really the Kingpin I want. But I know a lot of people like his, you know, performance as the character.
Yeah, I definitely definitely a different take from the comics, but I think with the way that they set him up in the Netflix series and the backstory they gave him,
Right.
and the way they just executed it, which was very well done. It just works, I think, and this is more in line with that.
Okay, so
Those series and like
in
what's great is I think Vincent D'Onofrio like basically boiled down his Kingpin into like two, or I can't remember if it was like two words, but basically it's like child and monster. That's
yeah,
basically what he protrudes, and like he basically is. He's a very scarred child from his childhood, where he had an abusive dad that beat his mom, who he eventually
mhm.
kills with a hammer. Um, but yeah,
Which
he's
that's
got a lot
different
of
from the
like
comics, right?
he's got a lot of issues. Um,
Maybe not,
I
but
like the way that they, I don't know, different from the comics for sure. They're kind of what's
okay.
weird is they're kind of leaning in. I, they've definitely kind of set up that he's kind of got some sort of super strength now that I feel like he's especially been in the MCU. I don't know how
Yeah.
that's necessarily come about. Also, apparently, the hammer that he showed her was different than in the show, because I think I can't remember which one,
Oh,
what the
really?
reverse is. Like in one show, it's like a claw hammer or whatever, like a typical normal hammer, and in the other show, it's a ball peen hammer that he. So I can't remember what it is, but it's technically a different hammer. So I don't know if that's their way of saying like, yes, the events in this Kingpin is very much similar to the Netflix series, but it's maybe slightly different. Um, so I don't know if like the fact that he got shot in the face, and I heard something that he like Hawkeye shoots like an exploding arrow at him in the series. Don't know if that's actually true. Saw that in a comment somewhere because people are confused why he's super. It's like he took super soldier serum. Like he gets shot in
Right.
the face, and it's almost like he's. Well, I don't know. I think he has a cybernetic eye because in those scenes you can hear like a like whirling or something like the eye cybernetic, but they don't really do a good job of showing you if that's the case because it just looks like he's literally just got like a little scratch and a little eye. But
Right, right.
that's what's weird to me. They didn't do a good enough job explaining like how he survived. I think too, which was kind of odd. You just get no answer on that. It's just he survived it. Just yep, he's alive. But
Yep. I did like how so in the comics Echo is a lip reader, but in this show instead of doing that, they did the whole like the contact lens and then he has the
mhm.
thing that helps like do sign for him as he talks to her. So that was an interesting take on that aspect.
I thought
Um
that was really really cool. Especially I was like, oh,
because
that'd be a
it's
really
still
cool piece of technology. But it also was a really good story beat because it did at the same time show, while as much as Fisk did care about her, he didn't care enough to actually learn anything. He always had the interpreter, which that fucking scene when they get rid of her is I have a problem with that scene, but
Just it really made no
it
sense.
was so dumb. But we'll get to that in a second, I guess. But I thought the technology itself was really cool and a cool story beat. Like I said, just I don't know. Did you think the contact thing was cool? Also, I thought he was gonna like do an eye. I thought he was gonna like rip her eye out or like stab her at first, like do an eye for an eye thing.
That's literally where I thought it was going. I was like, oh, he's taking eye for an eye very, very literally here. And then he just sticks the contact in, and it's like, then he's like, I thought we could talk, and it shows the hands. And
Yeah,
I said,
was,
oh, so they're not gonna make her like a professional lip reader, or because they're not giving her the powers of the comics, but this is how they're gonna
makes sense now once you figure out what her problems or her powers actually are.
And I was like, well, that makes sense because she would still have to be like looking at him while he talked, so then she could see the sign movements. So it was an interesting adaptation of that power.
I also wonder if since they kind of set that up. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna comment one more time that I really thought he was gonna take like, oh, like Avengers 1, when Loki has it and digs it into the guy's eye. Like, I thought it was something like that, and he was going to rip her eye out. I was like, oh, shit. Finally, this is getting interesting.
Here we go!
Yeah. You know.
I do wonder, since they did set that up, I wonder, even though she, like, takes Fisk's one out of her eye, I wonder if she does show up in, like, future properties. I wonder if that's how they'll maybe get around maybe using the ASL less, because depending on the story, it could be, I could see from a writing perspective how it would be nice to have scenes where, or intimate scenes where maybe she signs to somebody that she's close to, but as more of a story beat, especially for like a group, like team up movie, it might be smarter just to let the plot move on faster maybe at times if she does have a contact like that, to where it speeds up group conversations like that maybe. But for the story itself in Echo, I thought it was a really cool wrinkle to set in there. Kind of just double down on the fact that Fisk really didn't care as much as he probably should, at least to the degree that he let on to be, I guess. But anything else before we get to the final fighting? Oh, actually, real quick, I liked the general flashbacks. Did not like the silent movie one. I thought it was not good.
Cheesy.
Not well.
Too cheesy.
Not well done. Like, I was like, I really appreciate what you guys were going for here, but you guys did not hit the mark on this.
Was it not well done because halfway through it they just abandoned the whole silent movie thing of it and just said, like, you clearly could tell they were like, oh yeah, this was kind of stupid, and then it's just, you know, it just kind of goes back to, like, let's just call it modern and normal, and you just have the audio.
And it just felt so jarring compared to the other flashbacks. Like, they just didn't quite do that type of thing with the other one. So it was just, I felt like it was odd that they just chose one random ancestor to just do the silent movie treatment with it. And it was like, well, I feel like you didn't really. It's fine. Whatever. It's only the intro.
the random ancestor that allows her to have the power of obnoxiously pinpoint accuracy that she utilizes like one time, and it's not even in the final fight.
Skate
Yes, the makeshift skate gun. Yes.
God, that's the thing, is like, honestly, when I finished this, I was like, yeah, that was okay, and then I just kind of kept sitting and thinking on it, and I was just like,
the series
more
for
and
me,
more problems with it.
The series for me was kind of a struggle the whole way through. I just something about it. I just kind of knew. I was like, this isn't gonna pay off. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, should have probably
really
known when you look at the final episode and it's only 30 minutes. Not a good sign for a show.
Yeah.
Your longer episode, along with the partner, but I don't know. That's just me. What do you think of Biscuits and the dog, man? Jack Joe? Is that his name?
Shit, what was the dog's name? Jack something. I can't remember it.
We're gonna go with Jack Joe.
Biscuits was yeah, Biscuits was interesting. Trying to sell an old gen PS4 for $100.
Yeah.
And then I'm sorry, it was pretty good when he's with this buddy and everything that you see is yours. He's like, is that from The Lion King? It's like, well, yeah, but
I couldn't help but think though,
Yeah.
like seeing the character Biscuits and just seeing how he acted, I was like, man, they really wanted Zach Galifianakis for this role, didn't they? Just couldn't get him.
I got like the Native American version of him. Yeah, there's nothing else really. Yeah, I don't.
Well, before I guess we get to the final fight, one real quick question: what did you think of the suit?
Her suit?
Yeah, that you get to the.
I mean,
I like the idea
yeah,
of it, but I like
it was
once
cool.
again I like the comic book version better. But I like what they went for because it is more.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like that's the thing. It's like they gave her all this Native American background, so like it made a bunch of sense to me, and
It still looks cool. I just wish
I
there would
didn't
have been a
have a
little
problem
bit
with
more
it.
nods to the comic book one, but
Mhm.
I don't know. It makes sense at the same time. Like I'm not as big of a hater as some people I've seen online about it, but like like you said, it makes sense in the story, especially with certain characters that they set it up with. But
Right.
a little, you know, it's a Disney Plus series. If she ever makes it to the actual like big screen MCU, she'll get a suit upgrade. We all know that.
Right.
Well, I don't know. She's
Yeah,
kind of
when
at street
Secret.
level, so hopefully not. Maybe. What do
Well,
I
I
want
don't
any
know
more
what they're
Marvel?
doing.
What
I
do I
mean,
want?
I was saying, I don't know. I mean, obviously, again, the Daredevil T was because apparently they're going to do a Defenders level, like either series or movie.
Yeah,
I
basically
would
make
imagine it's
Kingpin the street level Thanos. I think is the term they
right.
used.
I was gonna say, and I think I want to say it might be a movie because I think they want to get Tom Holland in that. But
That would be cool.
yeah,
I mean, that would be really cool,
I don't know.
especially since the end of the last one where he's back down to street level and not necessarily doing world ending. I think that
Right.
would be really cool to bring Spider-Man old.
And plus, I mean, Spider-Man and Daredevil,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
awesome.
that, and then I've seen a couple people hint online that like, oh, they teased Venom, like maybe when they do this, maybe Spider-Man could work with Kingpin because he's infected by the Venom suit or whatever. And I was like, I mean, whatever way you want to go for it, just get them all together. Just get them together for
Whatever.
me.
Yeah. 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 At this point, I just want it. I just want it.
Just
Yeah.
want it. Just give me some sort of happiness, Marvel. Just something. Which so far with Spider-Man has been pretty happy. Yeah, on the second one. Sorry. Side tangent.
Yeah.
Anything else before we get to the final non-fight?
No, man. No, really not. I mean it. Like, I don't have much else to hit on.
Well, do you want to break down? You want to break down the fight for the people? Go ahead.
Okay. So the fight. Uh. um. We're all in a scary barn, surrounded by Kingpin's men. Whatever these powers are. The cheesy shot of righteous moment of just I hate that. Like just standing still, all face every single like family member too that echoing through the generations and powers flowing through now into the one. Cool. Then somehow with that she can give her cousin and her grandmother the powers too. She says, "Trust me." I'm assuming she kind of does like a body control type thing. And then all of a sudden they have super strength. So then, all henchmen get knocked the fuck over and Kingpin like tries to charge, and then she does like a little one of these, and somehow this and using said hand powers allows her to like use some straight up Charles Xavier telepathy mindfuck on Kingpin, and that's basically it. Yeah, it puts him into a scared, shocked state so bad that he can't fight her. And again, as Jsib said, if they just would have exchanged a couple blows before that, because again, she clearly gets like a super strength aspect. And if she could have just exchanged a couple blows with him before, like, oh, this is how I win, cool. But you just rush the hell out of it. Payoff feels horrible. And you're just kind of sitting there thinking, like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
That's the fight. That's the fight. This is literally the fight, if you will. A fight. I'm sorry, I can't get past like you have a shot of her with all the generations behind her that are feeding her like all their special skills, fine. But when they all just fucking stand there like robots and they're just straight up, shoulder to shoulder, they're not even shoulder to shoulder, like yeah, there's some depth to it, but they're all just facing forward. It's like you were that lazy, like when you're in the filming production, that you just said, "Yeah, just stand here, stand here, stand here, stand here," and 1,002. Okay, we're good. Yeah, we're good. Cut. We're good. End scene. Fucking fantastic. It's just so like unnatural and just cheesy and stupid. And I know that's a dumb thing to get up on. I absolutely hated that shot. Hated it.
I gotta agree with you. I absolutely despise that
have
shot.
Some cool
That's what
side pose. Have some cool side poses or something. Like, oh my god! Like, put personality into those other. Like, yeah, we got the characters for 5 seconds, like you said in flashbacks, but bad.
Yeah, I agree with you. When that shot came up, I was like, "Oh boy, that's why I made the joke about Last Airbender and Legend of Korra." It was just like, "What the fuck is this shit? Like, why are we like? Why can't we have just done the thing where it's like her ancestors gave her her powers from the comics? Like they all previously had it before her, whatever. Just but I don't know. They went this route. I really, once again, wish they would have done a fight before or after the scene because I think that fight with the flashback with Fisk was really good because that's the night and why he was so scared. That's the night that he ends up killing his dad because he's beating his mom again. Why he goes to grab the hammer. But it's a nice touch, but also confusing. But I guess because I guess the idea is that he refused the help, so that's why he lost and got captured. And I don't know, whatever. It was a lame finish. To the series, I'm just gonna say, I guess, because I don't think we're getting a season. But
drive.
Oh, actually, real quick, just a scene I want to shout out when they were at her grandpa's shop, like his little pawn shop, and they got that white couple that came in that was just so ignorant.
That dude was awesome.
And he goes to like, I think they asked him to like if he could enchant it or something like that, and he was just like, buy the damn thing. I thought that shit was awesome.
Best character was the grandfather.
That actor was awesome. He's a legend.
You said the whole thing about the powers. This actually shit. I'm sorry. There is one more I gotta talk about. Why did the mother know how to use her powers, but her grandmother had no idea what the hell any of it was?
I mean,
and
there's some inconsistencies in the bloodline.
And like that. I really did not like how like. I thought I mean, yes, is it stereotypical of the superhero thing. But I think it would have been cool if the grandmother was like, "Oh, you have the power too," and like there could have been our explanation.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that's kind of like holding my hand, spoon feeding it to me. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I just
Anyways, back to the end. Back to the end. Back to the end. Whatever. We don't have to really dwell on it.
really the last thing is just the post credit scene with the what seemed like a terribly forced and shot, I don't know, mayoral kingpin, which I like in the I like the
Yeah.
idea of it, but I just did not like how that scene was done. I was just like, this feels really cringe.
And again,
It's completely
again,
open, everybody. Anybody could enter the race at any moment, and they could win now. Please join now, please. We hate our candidates. Please join now, please. Kingpin, join.
and again, that's just I strongly believe that that's just more foundation for the fact that they're doing a street level defenders type team up with her, Daredevil, and Spider-Man. I know are the three. I don't know if they're gonna bring. I would like at least Jessica Jones back. I always like Kristen Ritter. Don't know if she wants to come back and do it. Um, I always liked her. I always like really the only one of the four of those that I just thought was terribly done was Danny Rand Iron Fist.
Yeah, Iron Fist.
Yeah, it was. It was awful.
I thought Luke Cage
and what
started
sucks
pretty
is
strong, but kind of ended kind of weak. But I really liked the beginning.
I liked Luke Cage a lot. I love Luke Cage. I love that show. I sent you to hell. You came back with superpowers. I love that line. I always love that line. Yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, I'll be honest right now. I kind of forgot about that scene entirely. Like you said in credit scene, and I've just sat here, started to sweat. Like, oh, shit, I didn't see that. And when you said what it was, I was like, oh yeah, wait, yeah, I saw that. I saw that. So that's how forgettable that was.
Which I think is supposed to be kind of the premise of I think Daredevil Born Again is I think during that Kingpin's supposed to be running from
Oh,
the mayoral
maybe,
campaign,
okay.
so which they're completely rewriting now. So I guess they're still keeping that beat, but just
maybe
writing it better. I guess
where we'll maybe in that show is where we'll get all the like the separate like cameos slash random team ups with like Daredevil with Echo, Daredevil with Spider-Man, stuff like that.
So looking forward to it. I'm glad at least at the very end they're setting up a more street level Marvel, even though it's not a universe, but it's just a separate sector of the MCU. It's just not the world's ending every time. I think they should keep going and building out this little
Avengers low threat.
Yeah, I think they should keep doing it. Please lean into the maturity and brutality a little bit more, please. This was a decent first step.
Yeah.
Just go a little further. Just go a little bit further. And up that writing, goddammit. All right, KP. Where can the people find you? Oh boy.
Somewhere. Where?
Oh boy, I think we're losing KP. Cutting out. Links will be down below for where you can find both of us. You can find me at Twitter, aka X gonna give it to you at Jsib20 and Twitch.com. Jsib Tuesdays and Thursdays. We both stream sometimes together, sometimes doing different stuff. But like I said, links will be down below. So if you like what you saw, please like the video. Give us a nice sub. Maybe turn that notification bell on if you want to go post a new video. But until next time, I'm your boy, Jsib. And he's KP. Okay, see you later. Bye-bye, everybody.